job for the most famous luxury department store in the world. If I was working for someone else, I would never have got those opportunities. So don't be lulled into thinking that, oh my God, she had this really super glamorous life. Don't get me wrong, I got to do some really cool stuff, and I still do, but that's not my entire life. Which is why, when people look at my Instagram, I post all sorts of stuff. I post when I'm out with my friends, or if I love eating chips, so I might go and post a picture of cheesy chips or something. And I kind of do that deliberately, because I don't want to be. I would hate for someone to look at my feed and feel crap about their own life.
Yeah.
Because my life isn't like that. Sometimes it's great, and other times, like everyone else, it's a bit crap. And it's really important that people understand that, and people realize that it's not just, oh, I'm going to another fashion show, or oh, I'm going to the Philippines, or oh, I'm doing something
Yeah, it's all
glamorous.
really nice. You know what
It's
though? It's
just,
funny that like we were saying about, like, we're gonna move on to the social world in a minute, and talk a little bit about that too, and kind of going solo and stuff. But it's that kind of thing as well, where when people ask me what I do, and I run my own business, I'm a consultant, I do this and that and the other. They're like, oh, cool. So you don't actually have a job that you go to? Like, no, I have a job. Like, oh no, you don't, because you just like work anywhere. Like, yeah, but it's a kind of a double-edged sword as well. Like,
yeah,
and you must know now. Like, we were talking before about having an office and not having an office and all this kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, I can work anywhere I want, but it means I can work anywhere I'm needed. So I don't have a like an in and out like you. So it's complete swings and roundabouts, and it's like you said before, there's probably days where you sat at your desk in Harrods for 10, 12 hours in a day trying to sort out a campaign, whether it was happening now or happening in 6 months, 8 months, or whatever it was, that you would never post because it's just the grind of a day or the
yeah,
grind
exactly.
of a week.
Exactly. And I think for me, that's one of the things I'm really, when I do my lectures and I do talk to people, and not just that, outside of my lectures and things like that as well, I always say to people, what you see on the gram or on your feeds is not an absolute representation of the truth. You are seeing what people want you to see. And
Yeah,
that's not me having a dig at anyone. It's just being honest and being completely transparent. I'm not going to post content when I'm having a really bad day, or if I'm really upset about something. For me, that's just out of my comfort zone. There are certain things that I'm happy to put online, but there are some things that I prefer to keep offline. That's my personal choice, and the same applies to everyone else. We don't post everything about our lives. It's just not how it works. And especially for young people, I think who are being born into and growing up in the age of social media, it's really important that they understand that.
yeah, you've got to see it. There's got to be a line, most
Yeah.
definitely. Um, okay, so that's kind of a nice little tie into your current position now with, we mentioned before, the social word. So you've gone into more brand management and social management and all these kinds of different things. How how did that switch happen? Where were you at in your journey where you thought it's the right time now, I should do it now? Was it a client who enticed you to go? Was it a personal decision for you to challenge yourself some more?
I think it was a personal decision, to be honest. It was a bit like when I joined Harrods. I had been, at the time when I left, I had been there for over 7 years. I had exceeded my own expectations. And I think, like I said earlier on, I had no idea when I joined that company how that was going to work out. And and I think sometimes when I say this to people, they think I'm a bit crazy, but it's like I didn't know. I didn't know whether I would be there for 3 months, 3 years, or whatever. You know, and fast forward to present day, it went very well. It was very successful. And my goal was, because I had a personal goal of mine. Because the Facebook and Twitter already existed, I wanted to set the Instagram up and get it to 1 million followers. That was my thing. It was like, I would love, just for me personally, obviously for Harrods as well, but just from a personal perspective,
Yeah,
I
to
would
have
love to
personal
do that.
goals.
And that was one of the things I really had my heart set on. And they hit it. It was January last 2017. It was a couple of days before my birthday, and you know, it was quite an interesting day because um, we were obviously kind of hitting that refresh button every 20 seconds, and we finally hit it, and it was like everybody was super excited. And don't get me wrong, I was excited too, but it was a bit of an anticlimax because I think that I'd been working towards it for so long. And then I got there and it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. What's next?
What's next? And I
Yeah.
think that was the thing. I started to think, okay, I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. And, and I have achieved other things I wanted to achieve as well, but that was a personal thing for me. And it was like, right, okay, I need to start thinking about what my next step is. And people, many people have said to me, you left an amazing job. Why would you leave that job? And it's like, well, I did everything I wanted to do. And I think that everything has its time and its place. And, whatever happens to me from this point onwards, that job and I say this to everyone, will always be the best job I ever had. It was just, in more ways than one, it boosted my career, it boosted my CV, it boosted my confidence from a personal perspective. I proved to myself that I actually could do something and build something amazing. But then I wanted to do my own thing. It was never my plan to stay. And I think I'd had this conversation with you when I first joined there. It was never my plan to stay there forever. I always wanted to go on and do something else. I always wanted eventually to go back and work for myself. And I wanted to do things like lecturing, stuff like that I really enjoyed. So I think that journey, that particular part of my journey had just come to a natural end. And the thing as well is, I built a legacy. So, because what I really like about my history in terms of Harrods is that, okay, yeah, somebody else is there now and they're running it and they're doing it. But the thing is, I will always be the person who put them on the map from a social media perspective. I was the one who set their Instagram and got them to 1 million followers. And whatever happens from this point on, nobody can ever take that away from me. And for me, that's such a nice feeling. I did that. When I hear people talking about it or I see it come up, it's like, I started that account. I got that account to 1 million followers. And that will always be my thing. I will always be able to say that. I will always be able to claim that. I didn't do it on my own. I had a fantastic team. I had fantastic support within the business, but I've left a legacy. And like I say, whatever happens after me, that legacy will always be something I started. So for me, that was good enough for me. I'd done everything I wanted to do. I'd made some terrific contacts, met some great people some of whom have gone on to become friends. And like I say, that part of my journey just came to its natural end. Plus, as well, I was coming up to my 40th birthday, and I was just like, you know what? I need to do something. I need to make a big change. I need to get out there, and I just need to take a risk, like I did 8 years ago, when I joined Harrods, and that was it. Really, it was just time to move on. It was just time to move on to the next stage of my journey.
So, with that said, then, what is next for Lisa and for the social word? Like, I know we've talked about different things in branding and content, and you want to keep you have a business account for business reasons and all these kind of different things. But what is next for the social word? What's the goal of the social word from a business point of view? What's the goal of the social word from a personal point of view? In that, what do you hope to achieve out of it?
I think from a person, I think for me, what I hope to achieve is both from a personal and professional perspective. I worked very hard to get into Harrods, and I had a lot of support from people. But one of the things, and you will know this as well, it's not all about what you know, it's about who you know as well. And I think one of the things that was really important for me when I left my job is to kind of share my knowledge with other people and to kind of help people as much as possible, because the reality is, as much as I did that pitch and I went to Harrods and I pitched them, I would not have got in there on my own without the help and support of some terrific people. And I think, especially with the luxury sector, it's very hard to, especially with fashion, it's very, yourself, it's very, very hard to break into.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt, yeah.
My thing is, okay, I did it from a social media perspective, but my thing is I really kind of want to, don't get me wrong, I really want to do public speaking. That's what I've really got my heart set on. One of my goals now is to do a TED Talk. But as one of my other goal is, which is equally as important, is to pay it forward. It's like I've gotten to where I am with the help and support of some incredible people. And if I can do that for other people, then for me, that will be an incredible achievement. Because like I just said, as much as I worked my butt off for 7.5 years, I didn't get to where I've gotten to on my own. And I think for me, that's something that's really, really important to me.
So then you mentioned before about your public speaking and stuff like that, and you've done quite a few talks now in different places. And what is there a constant question that comes up to you from your experience at Harrods? Is there a question that comes up about personally how you started the journey or what it takes to start the journey and stuff like that? Because it's interesting to go from that area of such a luxury niche brand and then go into speaking and say, now I'm going to tell everyone how to do it, or tell everyone why they should do it, or inspire other people to take the plunge, even if it's not in a digital space, if it's just in life, just something you really want to do, just grab it and do it.
I think the question, if I'm being honest, the question I get asked most is how can I grow my followers? That's the question I always get
Okay,
asked.
cool. I want more followers.
Yeah, well, everybody wants more followers, but I think for me, I think one of the things I'm really keen to get across to people is, like I said to you, when I started out on my journey, I had no idea how it was going to work out, and I just thought, you know what, just try and see where you go. And I think that's the thing for me, because so many people, and you'll know this yourself, so many people, and I was one of them once, many years ago. If you ask, I would say a group of about 100 people, probably a good 70 of them or more would say they're not doing something they really love.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there who wake up every day, and it's just kind of Groundhog Day. They're going to a job that they don't really like. They don't really like their boss. They don't really care, but it pays their bills. And I get that. I'm not knocking that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But, I took a massive risk. I packed up my whole life. I gave up my whole life and moved to London for something that I didn't know whether or not it was going to be successful. And don't get me wrong, I had to work really hard to make it successful. But the fact of the matter is I took a massive risk, and that risk paid off. And I just think there are so many people out there who are scared to take risks and are scared to try things. And even if it's a small thing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be like going to a company like that and taking on that job and building their platforms and whatever. I think for me, one of the things I'm really keen to get across to people is just be willing to try things, because you don't know where it will take you.
Yeah.
You have no idea. I mean, if someone had said to me 8 years ago, you're going to be in a situation where you're leaving Harrods, having built their social media and made them one of the most followed luxury department stores in the world, and you're going to be lecturing at London College of Fashion, you're going to be working with some really interesting brands. Like one of the brands I'm working for is a grooming brand called Barber, which is incredible, and they're growing and they're set to expand internationally next year. If someone had said that to me 8-9 years ago, I probably wouldn't have believed them. I probably would not have believed them at all. And the fact of the matter is, fast forward 8 or 9 years, and that's where I am. And I think that's the thing. It's like, we all have doubts, we all get scared. But my thing is, just try and see where it takes you. And as well, it's just sharing my knowledge about social media. I've spent nearly 8 years building up the social media for a very famous business. And I have a lot of information. I have a lot of kind of knowledge that I want to share. But as well, what the social word is for me, it's a no nonsense kind of thing. Because I think one of the things about social media is there's a lot of fluff that surrounds it. And I'm not really a fluff person. I'm somebody who is all about strategy, who is all about doing things, especially for a business, for good, sound reasons. And for me, when I'm doing my talks, I'm doing my lectures, I'm kind of trying to get the more serious side of social media across. Like one of my things I always say to people is that, tactics should never dictate objectives. Objectives dictate your tactics. Don't just come up with ideas that are not linked to actually your business. Fundamentally, everything you do is with a view to impacting the bottom line of the business in a positive way. And you mustn't forget that. You should never get too hung up on, this is pretty, let's post this. Why are you posting it? One thing I always used to say to my team is, if you can't think of 3 solid business reasons as to why you should be posting something, it shouldn't be posted.
Yeah.
So I'm probably a bit more on the boring side of social media, I would say.
Do you know what? It's funny though. I've had the amount of conversations I've had since going solo where I have to explain to people the value of consistency and saying, if you say it on social and it must tie into your homepage must tie into your email will tie into your product range and all this kind of stuff, and try and explain that, exactly what you were just saying there, bring it together, give it a point, give it a meaning, or don't do it. Who is it